G'day guys, and I have an AMA to do, which is pretty cool. So I thought I might bring you guys along for taking the pooch here for a walk, since he's going to get very cranky if we don't take him for a walk. So I thought I might show you guys around where I live and that sort of cool stuff. So stay tuned. Alright, mythical he, she, they, not quite sure which, asked, do you have any kids and how many? Human kids, not at the moment, but I have a Labrador, I have a cat, I have 7 chickens and a hell of a lot of goldfish. So I'm not sure if that counts, but it's the best you're going to get from me at the moment. And how old am I? I am 32, which is sounding pretty old at the moment, but I'm guessing it's not too bad. And the next question from he or they is, he, she, they is, do you recognize me? I had a look at the profile and nothing. So it doesn't give very much to go through, but given you didn't know if I had any kids or how old I was, I'm guessing you don't have me on Facebook. So guess might be you're either an ex-girlfriend or you go to the college that I work at. So one or the other. See how close I was. Okay, Kyle Brown asked, when, why, and how did you get into aquaponics, and how long did it take you to get to where you are now, or as good as you are now? Well, good is pretty much a matter of perspective. I'm sure there are people that have been doing it that think that I am useless at it, but so far everything grows really, really well for me. And starting off, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago now that I was going through Reddit and I just saw this amazing post on aquaponics, and since then I was hooked. My soil that we have in this area around here is really horrible. It's clay, it's dry, and growing anything in there takes a hell of a lot of effort. So aquaponics was pretty much ideal for me. Starting it off, it was probably a bit about 6 months of trying to convince my wife that it wasn't all rubbish, and she came home one day to me digging a big hole in the backyard, and that pretty much started it off. I welded up a nice big frame and I built it all and hooked it all up, and since then there's been nothing stopping me. It's just awesome the way that it works and how easy everything is inside of it. Okay, so next question, as I'm on a nice little swing in a park, is from Avon R. She's saying, I know you're not American, but Trump or Clinton? Now, I'm not an American, as you guys can see, and I honestly don't care too much about who really wins, because as long as you guys don't start a world war and Australia gets dragged into it, it doesn't really affect us day to day that much. But I'm sure you guys want an answer, so I'll give you the best that I can. The Clintons pretty much strike me as the Underwoods from House of Cards. They are power hungry and they'll do pretty much anything they can to get there, which can be a good and a bad thing depending on what their ultimate goals are, and those are what I don't know and what scares me. But the next question is Trump. He strikes me as a horrible egomaniac, and he strikes me as somebody that wants to turn your country into Trump land instead of the United States, and he just wants to make everything about him, and I have a feeling he will start a massive world war if somebody overseas annoys him and goes against his ego, which is a little bit worrying. And a follow-up question to that one is from Kapura. I'm sorry if I said that wrong, but what about Gary Johnson? And did I say that? Yep, what about Gary Johnson? And to be honest, I have no idea who he is. I've never heard of him before in my life. So, might be better than the Clintons, but I have no idea. So, I hope you guys do the right thing and don't want to become the United States of Trump. Up to you guys. Okay, so the next question is from Kapura, FTW. I'm not sure if I said that wrong, so apologies if I did. But if you're willing to do AMAs now, do you think that means that one day you'll be interested in doing live streams? Or maybe some of the other common things YouTubers do when they start to get really popular, such as going to conventions? My internet at home is completely rubbish. If it does, then the videos will be coming out kind of like this. They would just be really stuttery, really horrible, and I'll go back to normal at the moment. But that is why I don't do videos like that, because it would be incredibly slow and incredibly painful to watch. But going to conventions, sure. I don't know anybody who will want me to go to one, but I'd happily go to one if invited. And the second question is, besides what you've shown us thus far, do you have any other hobbies to share, such as gaming, photography, technology, and hopefully that doesn't pick up too much. Hopefully the microphone isn't picking up too much. But my other hobbies that I've got is pretty much what you see on camera. I love building stuff. That's one of the things that I always loved doing. When I was in year 12, I built myself a full-size pool table for one of my final projects. I've always been pulling apart VCRs. I've been always wondering how things tinker and work. And that's just one of the things that I love doing, pulling things apart, putting them back together and making new things work. and that's one of my biggest hobbies that I got, but it gets shown a bit on the channel anyway. But I do like playing the odd video game. I probably play a little bit too much Call of Duty at times and that sort of stuff, normal voice stuff. And my wife is saying that one of my hobbies includes making a mess, which is probably true. And what's my day job? Well, I'm a chef, but I've moved past that a little bit. I'm a catering manager of a residential college. So I look after people that live there, about 240 people that come from interstate, overseas, and that sort of stuff that live there. So we cook them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's a relatively easy job. 9 to 5, I get weekends off, which is fantastic for a chef. All right, next one is from Sanction, which is not quite a question, but I love the channel the way it is, a touch of humor, a touch of interest, no clickbait, and a lot of dedication towards quality. Well, awesome, I'm glad you're enjoying it. But I do have a little bit of clickbait there. Have you seen the sex dungeon, the goldfish sex dungeons, and the massive vibrator and that sort of stuff? I call that a bit of clickbait, but I'm okay with it. And the next question is from Will B. Where are you from? Originally, I'm a Sydney boy, but for the last probably 8-9 years now, I've been living in Adelaide, which is the area you can see behind us. It's probably about 40 minutes out of the city here, and it is fantastic. Adelaideans call it pretty much the slums of Adelaide, but to be honest, it looks pretty awesome to me, and I love this area around here. It's just ideal for what I like. It's a small country town inside of a city, and I love that about this place. Next one's from PokeClap. He's actually been watching my videos and everything for about 8 months now, which is pretty awesome. So thanks for watching. And hey man, congrats on the first Q&A. First of all, it's been awesome to watch this channel grow over time, and you really do cool things here. My question for you is, how did somebody who lives in an apartment in the middle of a busy city begin to do some DIY projects or learn to cook better and make high quality meals? Well, pretty much find a project that you want to do, and hold on, I'm sure you guys are getting a lot of wind. I'll cover that. So the first thing I'd recommend doing is finding a project you actually want to do, because that's pretty much all I do. I don't set about learning skills. I find a project that I want to do, and then from there figure out how I'm going to do it, which is pretty much the way that I do most of the things. So I'd recommend doing that. If you want to build a bookcase, figure out how you're going to build the bookcase and then start from there. If you want to hang a picture on the wall, then figure out how you're going to do that and then go from there. That's pretty much all I ever do. That's my whole process. I want something, I see with end product, or I see how it is in my mind, and then I just go for it. That's pretty much all I really do. Yeah, and you learn from the mistakes that you do. I've made some horrible things in my time. Some of the stuff my wife really didn't like at the time, and she eventually made me chuck it out because it was horrible, but you learn as you go, and you figure out these things as you go. And the next question is with food. Pretty much read, learn, figure out what you can do, and build from there. The best tip that I can offer with food is learn how to balance the flavors. So learn how to balance how salty something is, learn how to balance acidity against sugar, and those sort of things will make it a hell of a lot better. If you can learn how to balance flavors, then cooking is a piece of piss. And the next question is, where did I begin? Well, I am a qualified chef, as I said before. I started my apprenticeship in a Mexican restaurant, and I was there for about a year. Then I moved on to a French restaurant, which was a hell on earth, which I hated with an absolute passion. But I was there for about another year and a half, and then I went to a traditional Australian sort of restaurant, which is just basically a mixture of everything else put together. And that was one of the better restaurants that I actually worked at. And I ended up running that place before I moved down to Adelaide and started running where I am at the moment. And thanks for the congrats on the channel growth. Okay, so the next question, as we're going, is from Reptile Time. Have you thought about making an indoor aquarium? Well, yes and no. Superflies. Well, yes and no. An indoor aquarium, just as a normal aquarium, it doesn't really do much for me. I like my aquaponics outside and that sort of stuff. But in an ultimate dream where we've got the house that we want and the money to build the house that we want, I've kind of got the idea of an outdoor aquarium that's sort of attached to, an outdoor pond that's sort of attached to the house itself. So we've got a big perspex window that you can see into the fish tank with and see all the ornamental fish and everything growing, swimming around there. So ideal house, that's what I'd have in it. But at the moment where we are, I don't really want to do any sort of aquarium in there. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I quite like aquariums and looking at them, but they're just way more work than I really want to do for it. And the next one is from Early After Morning, and I think he's actually been on my channel for a bit now. I'm keeping tune of it. So the question from him, is it me, or is New South Wales, or is it freaking freezing right now? Well, at the moment it's probably about 20 degrees at the moment, and it is awesome here. So the next question is a Brooklyn. So the next question is from FZMO or FMM0, I'm not quite sure. But asking what sort of goldfish do you have? I have a lot of goldfish in there. There's probably about, I honestly can't count and tell you how many there are, but I've got a whole lot of comets, which are some of the first goldfish that I got in there. And they are about that big at the moment, probably a little bit bigger, which is incredible. They are getting huge. And the other ones I've got plenty of Arandas in there, some pearl caps, some blackmores, some Ryu, however you say it, pearl scales, and a few others. I basically go into the pet stores and I find the ones that I think look prettiest and buy those ones. And I honestly cannot remember what all the breeds in there are. But I just like looking at all the pretty colours and different shapes and sizes of the goldfish, which is what I think is fun about them. So the last question is from Vernier, who kind of looks a little bit like Ramsay Bolton, so that's kind of worrying. But I'm guessing it's a she since she said she's not a guy, is asking, am I single? And nope, I've been married for probably about 7 years, 8 years now, and I quite like being married, it's awesome. And she's not standing right beside me at all.
I don't want in.
She doesn't want in on the video. Okay guys, thanks for hanging around this far, and I hope you found out something interesting about me. So I actually had a lot of fun answering these questions, so I might do it again on a semi-regular basis if anybody cares enough to ask any more questions. So if you got any more, leave them in the comments below, and I might do a follow-up video at some stage in the future. So stick around guys, and looking forward to the next stuff that's coming out, because I've got some really cool stuff that's coming out soon. It's just going to be awesome. So stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.
Bouncy.
Banana. Straight in the crotch.